You know who I will never be done with because she does incredible work and has for many years and is now at my favorite site, The Athletic. That is Dianna Russini, NFL Insider. Dianna, thank you so much for joining us early this morning. How are we doing? Great to be here with you.
I'm good. I'm only coming on because you guys are so objective. This is the highest form of journalism that I participate on a daily basis. So I did think it was a little mean when you guys asked me to come on tonight because, even if I wanted to sleep last night, I had no choice in my house knowing that that Eagles game was on. And look, I'm with you guys. It was a bit of a dud in terms of obviously production, right? Like the offense wasn't really electric on either side of the ball. But for me, just watching it, knowing that Jalen Phillips is new to that team and made that immediate impact, I'm thinking like, of course, the Eagles trade and get a player that is good and can immediately step in here and stand out. So look, I think on the offensive side of the ball, what you guys are talking about in terms of just, you're right. Like, Dan, like they get into a bit of a rut. And you know how we always just talk about some teams are just like really good, right? Guess what? The Eagles are just really good. Their players are that much better. So when they are stuck in this space where it's like, all right, what are we doing? We're not very good. Some of the play calls aren't great. Guess what wins? Talented players, right? And that's where we see Devontae. That's where we see AJ. And I don't know what you guys are talking about with Saquon Barkley being done. I'm not in that.
That's
Stephen Shea. That's not us, Dianna.
That's
please.
Totally separate. I'm sorry. I'm actually like embarrassed that you heard that back and forth between us. So Dianna, I wanted to have you on today because you are very plugged in the league and especially the New York teams and the Eagles. So it's perfect timing. But the big news from Monday was Brian Daboll gets fired. So the New York Giants are moving on from Brian Daboll. I think we all could figure out why. He started 7-2 in his first season, then went 2-7 the next 3 seasons to start the year. But the shocker to me was Joe Schoen did not get fired, and they're not. And so, are they staying with the GM? And what is their plan for getting a coach? Because you don't see this very often. This is something Eddie and I deal with all the time, where you screw up the GM coach, set up here and it just makes everything fall apart again.
Well, you say it doesn't happen much. It actually does in New York, right? Because we've seen in the past where the GM always survives. And by the way, if you talk to any head coach in football, the first thing they say is it's unbelievable how general managers survive. And it's always the coach's fault, right? So their vision of it all. But in terms of what's happening in New York, like specifically right now, I'd always heard that Joe Schoen had a really strong relationship with ownership. And that 2024 draft where, they basically came out of it with 5 starters, really helped Joe Schoen's case here. And I do think the reason why we're all pushing back hard on it is because it was always painted to us as outsiders, we'll call it, and to the fans that these two were a tandem, right? It's like Joe and Brian together. And by the way, they have a great relationship. They live around the corner from each other in the town next to mine. They are really good friends. But as we know, when the oven gets hot here, people tend to kind of go in their own direction and they get in self-preservation mode. And I'm not saying that happened here, but it was not surprising Brian Daboll got fired. And I think when ownership said last January, remember when he spoke to the media and it looked like it was painful to say, like, let's bring these guys back. And I remember thinking, why are you bringing them back if you can't say to the media, these are my guys, I believe in them. You're wasting your time because now here we are. It's not even Thanksgiving. And the New York Giants are without a head coach. And Jackson Dart now may have to deal with 3 head coaches in a full season.
Ooh.
How much do you think his management of Jackson Dart affected this decision? Obviously, we kind of think it was inevitable, but the whole blue tent controversy, him just kind of running them out there with reckless abandon. How much do you think that affected pulling the plug this early?
I actually think it's the latter, or the other side of it, where Jackson Dart was keeping Brian Daboll in his job longer than maybe we could have seen him keeping his job this season, right? Jackson kind of saved him, that relationship, and it's strong. I think I've heard some people on the other side of it of why are you getting rid of Brian Daboll when him and Jackson do appear to have built something that has potential. But Jackson Dart plays a lot like Caleb Williams did out of college, right? Just all this running around. He just still needs to learn, which is why I do think this next head coach and the hiring of who the offensive coordinator is going to be significant, because I think we can all easily see, you don't even have to be an expert Jackson Dart can get himself in a lot of injury issues if he doesn't learn how to sit in the pocket and throw the ball rather than put himself in some of these dangerous situations.
All right, so who are the Giants going to hire? What are the names? Because it does feel, you made a great point that watching Mr. Mara, I call him Mr. Mara, have that press conference last year and not realize like, hey man, you should just fire him right now because you're going to end up firing him. And there's some pretty good coaches like Mike Vrabel's doing pretty well. I think he probably always would have taken the Patriots job. Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen. There's some guys they missed on that have done well in their rookie debut in this season. So who is the next guy? And is there any chance they maybe go turn back the clock and go Bill Belichick?
Isn't it funny that some owners demand the mister in terms of like, you just feel like you have to call them that?
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so
dumb. But there's some owners where I call them by their first name. I'm like, why didn't I give them that same respect? I don't know what it has to do with, but you're right. He is a Mr. Mara.
Yes.
And he is a Mr. Mara because he is so respected. Ownership in New York, despite the fact that they haven't won in years, I do think you naturally compare it to the other New York team, which, sorry, but we know.
Yeah.
Sorry, memes. Right. Just we're aware that there's a significant difference on how these teams are run. So in terms of who wants this job, it is very, very appealing, right? Like it may not feel that way because the Giants aren't winning, but I can tell you there were multiple coaches yesterday who were asking questions about what they're looking for. And here's what I'm sensing for what's next. Leader of men, which is the nerdiest, annoyingest phrase, right? Right? I can't stand it because I remember even in the offseason spending time of trying to define it, right? Like, what does that mean? And you know, we think Mike Tomlin, you say Mike Vrabel, right? But I think the reason why we say these people, let's just use this Patriots as the example because it's fresh and they are having success. It's the idea of the tandem of what they have. They've got the leader of men as the head coach, holding everybody accountable, holding all the best players accountable, coaching both sides of the ball, and including special teams, just being part of all of it. But then you've got Josh McDaniels, who's focused solely on the offense. I think for the Giants here, that's going to be what they need here because the offensive-minded coach didn't work here. And I've heard over the years that there needs to be more accountability on both sides of the ball. They need somebody here to sort of grab control of the team as a whole. And so who comes to mind? Lou Anarumo is the name. Anthony Weaver, right? Anthony Weaver's the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. Lou's obviously in Indy. Lou, if you remember, interviewed for the job with the Giants before they hired Brian Daboll. But they obviously went in the direction of Daboll. Look, Matt LaFleur is the name that is spicy to say right now, right? Because he is employed by the Green Bay Packers. But what if he becomes available? I think we can all agree here. He is an exceptional coach who would get an opportunity like that if there was a chance there. But I think in terms of the characteristics, this is all about an accountable one.
Wait, will they interview Bill Belichick?
Here's why I don't think Bill Belichick is a real candidate. It has nothing to do with Jordan and all the other stuff. It's because from what I understand, when Bill was trying to, get a job in the NFL, he wanted more control and he wanted to get rid of some of the people that worked in the New York Giants front office and behind the scenes, people that are related to the Mara family, people that have been there for decades. And that's not something ownership was down for. So unless Bill has changed and is like, okay, whatever, man, like I'll take whatever I can get. I just think his stock is low and just like it was 2 years ago or a year ago.
So with all that said, there's no chance on Kafka here?
Yeah, we like Kafka.
Yeah, like local guy. He's been rumored for jobs before.
Yeah.
Like, does he get a fair shake?
Look, it's always hard for an interim, right? I mean, Antonio Pierce is the only one I've seen that name floated around, as well as an idea. I don't have that intel. But look, this is the time of year where you're going to hear some wild names, right? We're going to hear some college coach. We're going to hear a lot. But I think this was something. And this is just from talking to people with the Giants over the last few weeks, they didn't want to do this, right? You have an owner, he's sick, he's dealing with some stuff personally. I do think they believed in some of the stuff that they were doing. At one point, right, before that collapse against Denver, especially as someone that lives in this area where it's Giants land, it was like they were going to the Super Bowl. That's how good it felt because you have Scadaboo, you had Dart, but then everything just fell apart here. So I don't think there's been a lot of thought, guys, on, all right, who are we going after? Everyone wants the answer now, but we've got 2 top quarterbacks in football now that were picked in the first round who don't have head coaches that started the season with them, right? We got Cam Ward in Tennessee and now Jackson Dart in New York.
Mm. Has enough time passed where our coworker John Gruden is a name who's going to be considered in head coaching searches?
What's up, Steve? All right.
Hey, Dan. All right.
Like pop up.
Got a little desk. Yeah.
Just there. You're adorable. Is this like the Get Up version of Hembo? Are you like the stats guy?
No, also, I just like to keep Steven, like, I love Steven. He's on basically half the shows I do. I like to keep him a little distance away from him so, like, he doesn't get too comfortable. If he was sitting over here with the big boys, he'd start throwing some wild stuff out there that we can't have on TV.
You got to keep him on his toes. Outside the Saquon Barkley horrible take, usually the stuff you're sharing and saying, if I'm listening.
Twice this year, so.
If I'm listening, or by the way, tough loss for you on Sunday, huh?
Bucks stink.
I mean, hey, it's the meat of our schedule. We're pretty beat up, so we're getting through it.
Something's going on with Baker. I got to dig on it, right?
Yeah.
Something.
Oblique.
You think?
I know.
He's saying like
Steven Scoops.
No. He doesn't have a scoop.
Scoops.
They said that. Didn't he say it?
I listen to all the press conferences.
Yeah, so that's not a scoop. You just listening to the press conference.
It's okay. We do that. You're a perfect insider. We do this all the time. We listen to the press conference. We take what the coach says and we tweet it. And everyone's like, "Oh, she got it." It's like, the coach I just add the word per source, and meanwhile the coach said it like a minute ago.
Yeah.
So cheap. We got to stop. You know what? We need to start policing that. Like, if we start doing that, call it out. Be like, yeah, I just heard that from the presser. Thanks. John Gruden, look, he's Roman, right? Like, his name is out there. It makes sense to me from what they would need in terms of someone coming in there being like, this is how we're going to be running stuff. But I just don't know if the New York Giants are there. I do think John Gruden will be a name, though, that we will hear this offseason when we start talking about the hot coaches.
We're talking to Dianna Russini here on Wake Up Barstool. Dianna, I don't know if we've ever met before. My name's T-Bob. It's nice to meet you. I know Chase pretty well, your co-host there on Scoop City, but I want to ask you about Joe Burrow. Okay, he's returning to practice right now. What does his future look like for the rest of the season? Does he have any impact on the rest of the year for the Bengals?
Yeah, I was a little surprised actually that he is now set to go. I know we were all reporting when he had the surgery that the timetable says this. It's going to be early December or mid-December, but I just think these health timelines are so hard, the injury timelines, because they are so varied. I mean, just look at Brock Purdy, right? Mm-hmm. So Brock Purdy has the turf toe. He doesn't get the surgery, but he kind of sees what's happening with Joe Burrow. He's like, he's a little conservative about it. And then every single week we think he's coming back or he looked good in practice. And then all of a sudden the pain comes back. And now here we are where Brock Purdy may be coming back this week and we still don't even know officially. So I use that example as, yes, this is great news that it's this early and that Joe, it was out of practice and we saw him throwing the ball. Awesome. I'd like to see how good he looks running around and playing the quarterback position before we can really get excited. And of course he wants to be out there. Joe is a beast, as you guys know. I can't imagine how hard it's been for him not to be out there. And look, we saw so many shots of him where he doesn't look happy. So I'm sure a lot of this is the competitiveness in him and just trying to get out there.
Dianna, you mentioned Matt LaFleur being kind of an interesting name there. And that's not one that I think like the casual NFL fan would consider because you just think about the Packers and we kind of crown them early on, so maybe lose sight of it. Like, what's his current standing with the franchise? And is there a threshold or a dynamic that if it happens that Matt LaFleur could be out in Green Bay?
Yeah, they are a type of organization that doesn't like a lot of excuses and wants to win now with paying Jordan Love and believing that he's the guy and Matt LaFleur having tons of success with him. This isn't a coach that has lost a lot of games. I think you're right. We give them the benefit of the doubt all the time because we know they've got great leadership and he runs that team well. But obviously losing to the Eagles at home and the offense just looking. I don't know why I thought malnourished. That's not the right word, but they just didn't look as sharp as they should be looking at this time of year if they really want to compete in this division.
Yeah.
So it's certainly a name to watch. At The Athletic, Matt Schneidman is our beat reporter that covers the Packers, and he actually tweeted that last night. Like, I think we got to start thinking about whether or not Matt LaFleur is in trouble.
Oof. Jeez.
Diana, last one. Obviously, Brian Daboll gets the attention with that being the news yesterday, but the Jets had a crazy trade deadline last week, kind of punting on the rest of the year, basically. Is Aaron Glenn, they have a first-year GM, and Aaron Glenn being a first-year head coach, are they all in still on Aaron Glenn?
Yeah, that is definitely been made clear to us that the Jets are allowing them to run the show and build a New York Jets team the way they want to build it. And we'll reflect back on this in 3 years, right? And we'll say either, okay, they're looking for a new general manager and a new head coach, or perhaps, oh my goodness, the Jets are dangerous. And I can't believe Woody Johnson invites memes to games now. Like, it's going to be one of the other. Which we got to work on this, man. Like, memes, he's all in my mentions all the time. People come up to me like, we hate you, we love memes. It's just like, it's like affecting my personal life. It's like hurting my feelings.
He's fighting through it. He'll get through it.
Dianna Russini of The Athletic. Go check out her work on The Athletic. It's incredible. Also, listen to Scoop City, guys. It's her, it's Chase Daniel. It's incredible NFL insight. It's twice a week. Dianna, thank you so much for coming on Wake Up Barstool. We kept you very long. Have an excellent day. Thank you again.
This was fun, guys. It was very nice to meet you. This is the first time anyone has ever introduced themselves to me live on the air. So
yeah. I felt like I was getting like weird looks from these two. I don't know. I just felt like you knew. I felt like you knew
like
everybody
you haven't
else.
met.
I'm still half asleep, so I don't know what he's talking
You're
about.
doing. I'm actually shocked you're up.
I'm probably being self-conscious here and ascribing feelings that aren't there. But thank you,
awesome.
Dianna. You're the best.
You're awesome. Thanks, guys. Congrats on all this.
Tell Chase I said what's up. Is that too personal as well? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, that was a bad ending.
yeah. I don't know. Me and Chase.
What is she gonna say? Oh, hey, T-Bob says hello?
Yeah, no, like I know Chase. I know Chase okay. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to establish connective tissue so she doesn't think I'm completely.
Diana's the best, and she's very plugged in. And I think that Giants situation is very interesting because it's just like the Joe Shane, they kept the GM, and
It's what y'all have gone through forever.
We've gone through it, and Diana made the point that I agree with, and it was a good point. Like, everyone from the outside, from the fan perspective, thought they were a tandem.
Yeah.
And that was what Mr. Mara told us, and then they didn't do it.
But it's crazy just because these GMs get more FaceTime with ownership.
I know.
That's all it is.
Now they're coaching, they're just sitting in their office being like, oh, we got to coach them up better.
Yes, dude. That's all it is.
They're boys with the boss. I mean,
Yes.
it's a simple dynamic that exists in like every single workplace that's ever been around.